The invasion was progressing in an orderly, efficient, and surprisingly progressive fashion. For all of its blight and bluster, the Terran colony at the border of Zydraxi space was barely guarded, and the minimal defense network of satellites was a joke. Even as our cruisers penetrated the shield of flak and laser batteries, we took less than 500 lost, and half of that in wounded. For us, it was barely above a training exercise on a fleet level. We'd heard for over 50 generations about the inviolate nature of the Terran Badlands, and how they would exact horrifying revenge for all intrusions. With our government's approval, we readily signed up for the 6-week journey out of our controlled space and into theirs, determined to seize the Terrans' mineral-rich worlds one by one, and leapfrog our way to their heartland systems. One toppled domino would be toehold enough for us to begin, and our near-perfect history of seized territory was written into our anthems. The colonial cities, all 9 of them, were staffed with synthetics and populated with less than 50 total technicians and support staff each. None of them were administrators, and their much-advertised colonial marines were apparently all on maneuvers, with no signs of them nor their fearsome arsenal to be discovered. After a few executions and a couple of interrogations, we began to set up for the long haul, signaling for the arrival of our material-bearing transports. Ready to start refocusing the station's printing farms into producing our war-grade goods, bullets, bandages, and bombs, just what is needed to make havoc on the enemy. Then we found the abandoned digging equipment. Thousands of displaced cubic meters of dirt and stone, all laid out in symmetrical trenches, formed into walls like a maze, a labyrinth forged from the ground itself, dotted with strange tunnels into the earth. We'd heard of the Terran propensity to dig, often to survive harsh climate conditions, avoid surface threats, or just to bury their dead. Yet the scope and scale of this was too much. It was as if they'd been digging since they arrived, and left nothing on the surface save for a token presence. That was when we began to notice our scouts disappearing. The first of our recon units who'd made landfall on the planet were coming up missing, stolen in the night by something unseen, dragged away in the darkness, lost. Even with their original units dispersed across the planet, wherever they were stationed, they'd be present in one watch cycle and gone by the next, a mystery of locked rooms, sealed bulkheads, and absent witnesses. Over 1,300 scouts were gone, with the remaining 800 kept off-world or in orbit. Their fearful mutinies made all the more clear when we found out that their life signs were coming from beneath the planet's surface. Down in the dark, the basement of the planet, where the shadowy tunnels all led, sealed behind the mazes dug into the ground itself. A threat, invitation, and engineering marvel, all combined into one fearful place. Our finest ground troops were summoned, and the relay would take at least 6 weeks before they'd arrive, although the commanders dictated that an immediate response by local forces was required. And so we began to dig and to walk and to patrol into the ground. The doors all opened, the red carpet rolled out for us, and down, down, down we went, into the shadowy hell beneath our boots. There we found sites indicating that the Terrans had been working for almost a generation and a half, digging and tunneling and carving away the earth, making vast networks of interconnected spaces, populated only with refuse, our own garbage. They seemed to eat nothing, left no sign of themselves, and had nothing to show for themselves except for even more digging done to the core of their world. We made no mistake. Our world was above, beneath the stars, and they were the undisputed keepers of the darkness. We made crude talismans and invented rituals to stave off our fearful notions, waving about in the dark, stammering threats into the shadowy gulf, bearing our weapons to fire at nothing, at fear, at the future of our miserable choices. We were children in a basement, our eyes becoming hazier and the world becoming a dimmed memory, still having not seen our enemy beyond their craftsmanship and the long, empty corridors they made us march. We chased the nightmare for weeks, and it would be longer to find the surface than it would be to seek our reinforcements, and it was then that the balance was struck. At the tail end of us, bulkheads the size of respectable buildings fell from the ceiling, closing off the passages behind us, forming neat, empty spaces between us and the surface. The lighting, so helpfully provided by the Terrans, dimmed and then vanished, and then we began to hear them. We didn't know that the Terrans sang in the darkness. They used their mother tongue, a language some of us knew, and translated, much to our hate and loathing, and we understood. We were not being kept as prisoners. We were being spared. In the months after our eventual liberation, we found out the truth of it. We, the lucky ones, have survived as witnesses, in a manner of speaking, to bear a noble message and share it with the worlds we once occupied. We are the harbingers of liberation now, and your gratitude is immaterial, as is our condemnation. You will be freed when the Terrans arrive, and they are coming. We are also a message to the leaders left behind when we left this world. You are next on the chopping block. You, people of this planet, are on a world once occupied by the Terrans that we had seized, and they, your liberators, are not arriving from above. They have been here for years, awaiting our arrival. They have been buried where they dug into the world, carving out niches to grow food, find water, and to build weapons, vehicles, and more, spreading beneath your feet, and are soon to emerge in 1,000 places, where you can neither stop them nor find them, and they will bind you, and you will see the truth of this soon enough. We did not bury them deep enough. They walk this land now. To those who hold office and have wronged this place, the message: get fucking nervous.